Hello everyone. Hello everyone. In this session, let us discuss what is centralized and what is decentralized organization. Centralization refers to systematic reservation of authority at central points within the organization. Centralization means retention or concentration of managerial authority in few key managerial positions at the nerve center of the organization, that is at the top level management. So everything goes to reduce the subordinate role in decision making, that is known as centralization. And regarding decentralization, here we have decentralization means dispersal of decision making power to lower levels to the organization. This is quite opposite to this centralization. In centralization, the authority as well as decision making, all those are going to lie in the top level, whereas here those things are going to handed over to the lower levels of organization. In decentralization, in decentralization, the ultimate authority to command and ultimate responsibility for the results is localized as far down in the organization. According to Alain, we the decentralization refers to the systematic effort to delegate to the lower levels all authority except that which can only be exercised at the central points. In decentralized setup, large number of important decisions in large number of areas are made consulting few people. Okay, so other than this, I will tell some differences. What are the differences which we are going to have? So the implication of centralization uh, can be reservation of decision making power at top level, reservation of operating authority with the mid-level managers, reservation of operation at lower level at the directions to the top level. So under centralization, the important and key decisions are taken by the top management, and the other levels are into implications as per the directions of top level. For example, in a business concern, the father and son, being the owners, decide about the important matters, and the rest of functions like product, finance, marketing, personnel are carried out by the department heads, and they have to act as per instruction and orders of the two people. Therefore, in this case, decision making power remain in the hands of father and son. On the other hand, decentralization is a systematic delegation of authority to all levels of management and in all of the organization. In decentralization concern, authority is retained by the top management for taking major decisions and framing policies concerning the whole concern. Rest of the authority may be delegated to the middle level and lower level of management. The degree of centralization and decentralization will depend upon the amount of authority delegated to the lowest level. So here let me tell what are the implications of decentralization. There is less burden on the chief executive as in the case of centralization. In decentralization, the subordinates get a chance to decide and act independently, which develops skills and capabilities. This way, the organization is able to process reserve of talents in it. In decentralization, diversification and horizontal can be easily implanted. In decentralization concern, diversification of activities can place effectively since there is more scope for creating new departments. Therefore, in decentralization structure, operations can be coordinated at divisional level, which is not possible in the centralization setup. In the case of decentralization structure, there is a greater motivation and morale of the employees since they are more independent to act and decide. Whereas in this centralization, it's not possible. In decentralization structure, coordination to some extent is difficult to maintain as there are lot of many department divisions and authorities delegated to maximum possible extent. So other than this, we are also having some other points regarding uh, authority as well as responsibility. Let me tell what is authority. So authority is the right to order or command and is delegated from the superior to the subordinate to discharge his responsibilities. So both authority and responsibility are going to go hand in hand. So without without authority, the responsibility cannot be done. So here, authority can also be treated as the power. Authority is the power to give the orders and get it obeyed, or in other words, it is the power to take decisions. Responsibility means state of being accountable or answerable for any obligation, trust, debt, or something, or in other words, it means obligation to complete a job assigned on time and in the best way. Okay, and here the authority, let me tell what is the difference between these two terms. So authority is the legal right. Authority is the legal right to give the command, order, or instruction and compel the subordinates to do a certain act. On the other hand, responsibility is the outcome of authority. It entails the obligation of the subordinate who has been assigned the duty by the superior. So the authority may be exercised through persuasions or sanctions. If the subordinate does not obey, the superior has right to take disciplinary action. An authority is the right of a superior to issue the commands. Responsibility is nothing but defined as the obligation of subordinate to whom a duty has been assigned to perform the duty. So the responsibility arises from the superior subordinate relationship, from the fact that someone has the authority to acquire a specified service from another person. Okay. So responsibility may be specific or continuing. It is specific when on being discharged by a subordinate. It does not arise again. Thus, a consultant's responsibility is specific, which ceases when the assignment is completed. The responsibility of a foreman is, however, continuing nature. Responsibility cannot be delegated or transferred. And then, span of control. So what is the span of control? Span of control indicates the number of subordinates who can be successfully directed by a supervisor. It is often referred to as a span of management, span of supervision, span of authority. So span of management is important because of two reasons. First is, span of management affects the efficient utilization of managers and the effective performance of the subordinates. If the span is too wide, managers are overburdened, and the subordinates receive the little guidance. If the span of the management is too narrow, the managers are underutilized and the subordinates are over-controlled. So this should be optimum. The second reason is that there is a relation between the span of management as well as organization structure. A narrow span results in tall organization with many levels of supervision between top management as well as lowest organizational levels, which creates more communication and cause problems. On the other hand, wide span for the same number of employees results in flat organization with fewer management levels between top and bottom. So let me tell what are the, so here the span of control. The second is, so the span of control should not be too wide. The span of control should not be too wide or too narrow. So in both the cases, we are going to have some problem regarding the control of organization. So it's nothing but the area of activity and number of functions. Here, so what is the good span of control? So how it should be? So how the span of the organization should be? So it should not be too narrow or it should not be too wide. So ideally, in an organization, according to modern organizational experts, is approximately excuse me, 15 to 20 subordinates as per supervisor or manager. However, some experts with a more traditional focus believe that 5 to 6 subordinates per supervisor or manager is ideal. So what is the principle? The concept of span of control is also known as management ratio, refers to the number of subordinates controlled directly by a supervisor. So what is a good span of control? So how it should be good? The concept of span of control is also known as management ratio, refers to the number of subordinates controlled directly by a superior. So this is regarding span of control. So example, I will tell one example. So for example, under a marketing management manager, you are going to have regarding four areas. You can able to give four subordinates regarding marketing assistant, market researcher, telesales supervisor, and custom care assistant. So under this marketing manager, he is going to have 4 or 5 subordinates. So it looks good. And the next is say, and the next one, ownership. So ownership is nothing but a state, act, or right of owning something. That is possessing something. The term may also refer to an organization or group of owners. It is the exclusive and ultimate legal right to a lawful claim or title. If you have the ownership, you can possess, enjoy, sell, give away, bequeath, destroy, or sell an item of property. That is the property of ownership. If you have ownership of something, it means that you are the owner, it belongs to you. The term does not only refers to people but also to other entities. For example, the government is the owner of a state company. Also, a holding company owns its subsidiary businesses. So, in this ownership, we are going to have different classifications: proprietorship, partnership, joint stock company, government sectors, cooperative sectors. In the next session, uh, let me discuss what are the different types of ownerships in detail. So now I'm going to stop my presentation. Thank you, one and all.